Internal analysis is a big part of what makes a company successful. It takes a look at your own company and identifies your strengths and weaknesses. One of the aspects that you have to look at is value chain. Value chain is a set of activities that a firm operating in a specific industry performs in order to deliver valuable products or services. When evaluating a value chain, an important thing to look at is Michael Porter's value chain chart. When using the Michael Porter's for your own company, ours, Zynga, we'll first look at the primary activities. Primary activity, first one, is inbound logistics. Inbound logistics for most company is activities involving receiving and storing raw materials. But for Zynga, being a mobile gaming company, it doesn't have raw materials. But for this step, we'll be looking more at the technology aspect of it. For the technology part, we'll be looking at them creating new ideas and new games and thinking about the new markets that they could attract themselves to and coming up with new ideas. The next one is operations. Operations with this activity, this is a process of transforming inputs into finished products and services. For Zynga, this would be considered taking their ideas and turning them into games or mobile apps. They'll be doing this and they'll be testing for the bugs and making sure that they have a great product ready. The next one is outbound logistics. Outbound logistics is considered warehousing and distribution of finished goods. This activity would be getting the games out to the consumers and getting them out onto different platforms, either the Apple Store, Google Play for the mobile apps, or getting it onto Facebook. The next activity is marketing and sales, identifying customers' needs and the generations of sales. Zynga does not do too much of this promotion for their mobile apps. They do more focus on in-game promotions and having their ads pop up on Facebook. Zynga will identify customer needs in inbound logistics when creating a new game or activity set or service activity. The last one is service. Service, the support of customers after the products and services are sold to them. For Zynga, they will look at their comments and reviews after their games and make updates and add either more levels or coins to keep their users hooked. We'll next look at the secondary activities. And that is it for the primary activities, and we'll now move over to the secondary activities. The first one is the firm infrastructure, and that is more about office culture. Zynga's really had some trouble in this category of late. Their former CEO said, you don't need innovation, just copy what your competitors are doing until we have the same numbers and that you're not smarter than them. So there was a lot of negative energy in Zynga, and with their new CEO, they're trying to turn that around. Human resources, resource management, a large staff that hired solely to market and work on advertisements to attract new users and to maintain current users. Technology department, although we were saying like before, they didn't do too much research and development, and they're going to try to work on that more. But to use their technology to create their games and try to have research and development now. The last one is procurement. This one would be to buy licensing, which would maybe the NFL, and try to buy different types of licensing for their games to help market new customers and new users. Implementation issues. As you can see on the right hand side that we have the McKinsey's 7S framework model. This model most often used as a tool to assess and monitor changes in the internal situation of an organization. The first S that we have is a hard S, and it's strategy. How to allocate resources into which countries. We need to know where are we reaching. How to spend our money and our resources in the correct way in either building, staffing, and surveys. We really need to know where we're going with our money and make sure that's in the best cause and the best interest for our company. Next one is style, how to cater games to different users. This relates to strategy. We need to learn what our users want in different countries. So obviously the customers in the United States are not going to be the same customers in Europe. We need to know what they want and what they need. So we need to learn more about them. Um, the next S is skills. Skills is, does the company have the creativity to make different games? One question that we have to ask ourselves is, do we have the right clientele? Do we need to outsource and get more designers? Do we need to have more surveys? We really need to figure out. Um, we need to learn more about our other customers in different parts of the world to make sure that we are making the right games for them. The next one that we'll look at is shared vision. Um, does management think this is a good idea after they failed in China? Um, they have to. Does management think that this is the right move that they made, and what can they learn about it? Do they still want to go and have a market in China? We really need to make sure that we have a strong base in a specific country to make sure that it's not just. We need to have a lot of discussions with management to think if we can need to continue forward with this move or if we should go into a different direction. Lastly, strategy, how to finance these projects. Um, do we have the right idea going forward with our finances? Um, the debt to equity, um, the issues with implementing more shares. We don't want to dilute the stock value. Um,
I'm going to be talking about the industry analysis for our company. The tech sector has been a source of some of the most successful startup ventures over the last decade. A great example would be the social network game development industry and our company Zynga. They've been able to turn a $700,000 revenue to about 1.3 billion in just about 4 years. This industry is very low barriers of entry, and there's not a necessarily large amount of capital or financial resources needed to generate a quality product. This industry has been named to Forbes' 11 hottest industries for startups, which has a lot to do with the efficiency of generating revenues. However, this industry struggles with products that have very low life cycles, as well as having to um, deal with technology and innovation that is changing by the minute. Um, Zynga's substitutes, in our minds, are relatively lower threats. Um, we came up with gaming consoles such as Microsoft's Xbox, Sony's PlayStation, and PC gaming or computer gaming. To clarify, when I say computer gaming, I mean having to download software and making tangible purchases to use your computer as a gaming system. Um, I'm not counting games such as online games that you can get off of Facebook or other online platforms of that nature that are very easy to just begin playing. Um, for Xbox and PlayStation, switching costs would be relatively higher since you have to purchase all of the hardware to participate in their games. Hardware including the actual consoles themselves, monitors, cords, and the actual games. Um, the consoles alone are around $300. So in that battle, Zynga wins. They have the advantage since most people already have mobile devices and computers. So the free download and ability to play puts them in the advantage. However, the life cycle of console games are much longer, as well as the quality of gameplay is much higher. However, we still see it as a very low threat because gamers that choose to play console games are looking for a much different experience than if they were playing Zynga games or social network games. Um, Unfortunately, Zynga does not have the ability to um, put out their own games. They need a platform. They need to find suppliers that will support their games. The three main suppliers are Facebook, Android's Google Play, and Apple's App Store. Um, Again, because they don't have their own platform, it puts them in a buyer-supplier holdup. The suppliers have the substantial bargaining power and leverage, since their platforms are the key source of distribution, marketing, promoting, and payments for Zynga and companies of that nature. The platforms don't need Zynga to survive. However, Zynga needs the platforms to survive. In this industry's supply chain, there are the companies that um, have the platform and can support the games. Then there's the companies that generate the games, and then there's the companies that are looking to advertise in the gameplay. So in this scenario, the buyer would be companies that are looking to take Zynga's advertising space. According to Zynga's 10K, the value of their games and their business are determined by the amount of players that play the games and the amount of social interaction generated. Engaged players drive bookings, which increase both game and advertising revenue. Zynga's main focus is on bookings, daily active users, and average bookings per user. So in this case, Zynga um, compiles a inventory of advertisements and offers from companies that are looking to take advantage of Zynga's advertising space. They are just hoping that Zynga chooses to use those advertisements in their games. Opportunities for Zynga would include entering into new international markets and connecting with new demographics. Although Zynga already failed in their attempt to enter into China's market, if they learn from their experience and put more effort into the research and development, Zynga should be able to generate a much larger international profit. They struggled with cultural differences when experimenting in China, but with other countries moving toward greater handheld technology, it would be worth putting more effort into expanding into international markets. Having the gaming trend move mobile means Zynga will have a much easier ability to connect with more demographics. Right now, and their uprise was through Facebook. The average Facebook user was a 30 to 40-year-old female, and a lot of their games catered to that demographic, and they were able to get away with that and actually thrive through it because of the popularity and long-standing popularity of Facebook. Now that Facebook is on the decline and mobile is on the incline, they have the opportunity to now create games that appeal to many more demographics, especially younger generations. Um, Whether they do that in games that appeal to everyone or focus a certain amount of their launched games on younger generations and a certain amount on the older generations, they'll be able to increase daily active users for each games by entering into different demographics and appealing to many more people. The threats that we came up with for Zynga was the decrease in daily active user, the supplier leverage, and the mobile trend. As we stated earlier, as I stated earlier, the value of Zynga's games and their business is determined by the amount of players that play the games and the amount of social interaction that is generated. Engaged players drive bookings, which increase both game and advertising revenue. Lower user means less revenues generated from both of their main revenue streams. This company and companies in this industry have a low amount of diversity in their business structure, I also brought up earlier that Zynga is in a buyer-supplier holdup, as the suppliers have substantial bargaining power and leverage over Zynga, since their platforms provided are the key source of distribution, marketing, promoting, and payments for their games. Due to the leverage, Zynga does not have the ability to fight for more profit share, and they're in a situation where they basically get where they get, which leads to the mobile trend due to the fact that since games are moving away from computers to mobile devices, meaning more players are playing mobilely than they are through computer, mobile games are far less profitable. And for a company that is already struggling to generate revenues, having to put their efforts into a situation that generates smaller margins certainly won't help.